材料はお塩、にんにく、生姜、昆布 seaweed. You don't need to have it. This is optional, but if you have it, it adds umami and more flavor. So I would recommend to use it. Chili pepper. I have Korean chili pepper, but you can use regular chili pepper, but much less. Chinese cabbage. I happen to have Chinese cabbage. I sometimes do regular cabbage, green cabbage, red cabbage, and broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, whatever veggies you have. I usually add carrots, grated carrots. You will need mason jar, 1 quart mason jar. Hot water pouring into the jar, sterilize the jar, 10 seconds at least, and then pour it. Be careful when you're pouring it, and air dry. Here you can wash the outside of the Chinese cabbage, and just about half, and you can open like so, and then wash. Take out any of the brown part that might cause a problem later, because this is a fermentation. Don't take a chance. Since we're using the mason jar method, I cut hard part of the vegetables strips, small strips, and I'm going to grate carrots and ginger garlic together. Amount of salt is, so remember, 1 pound of vegetables, 1 tablespoon. If you want to ferment for a long time and preserve for a long time, it will keep about 6 months in the refrigerator. But if you don't want too much salty, go a little bit less than 1 tablespoon, maybe 2/3 of the tablespoon. I'm not going to put all the salt here. You have to leave some for later for the jar. Maybe half teaspoon per jar. I have powder and flakes. And just roughly 2 tablespoons if you want a little spicy, but less spicy, go 1.5. Now put the salt and chili pepper together, so when you're mixing the vegetables, you know that the salt is distributing to all the leaves, vegetables evenly. And I'm gonna add these guys together. If you're using a jar method, you need to massage the vegetable here pretty well until water comes out and then vegetable gets soft. So you can press into the jar. See the juice? It's ready to go in the jar. And I'm gonna be putting the seaweed on the bottom. Just have a little bit slit. Go down there. Press. Press. So you're trying to get the juice out. Fill about 2/3, probably the best. Very important part for basic fermentation. Here on the surface is where the mold forms, so always keep this clean as much as you can, and use the wide mouth mason jar, and then not plastic. The smell will stick to the plastic, and then I do like to do a fermentation in the glass, not the plastic, so you don't get the funky chemicals into your food. Now you have to put a lid. I have the wax paper, slightly bigger than the mouse, and you're gonna be So put a salt over on top to prevent mold. A little bit of the chili pepper, that will become a very good mold prevention too. One more, very important, while you're fermenting, the juice has to be covered the vegetable. You have to make sure that you're going to be fermenting this for a couple days, and 2 to 3 days in the winter, springtime, and then 2 days in the summer room temperature, and then refrigerator afterwards to ferment. You can eat after a couple days of fermentation, but I like deep fermentation, so I will wait for a week or so. So make sure here all the water is coming out, so you need to put a little weight. For weight, you can use double bagged water or old beans. I have azuki beans, or the pie weight for the baking. So you can put it in a clean bag and then put it in there. Now make sure it doesn't overflow, but water is covering the vegetable. And I usually put just about on the top, or maybe a little bit sticking out, and then put just enough beans to slightly over the lid, so when you push the lid it weighs down, and then you will see the juice come up. So you have to see, if it's too much beans it will spill. You might want to have a secondary container right under this jar. So this one I will put the pie weight. Hopefully it's pie weight, you can wash it, so it's great. So make sure it's enough water is coming up, and then put the lid. Keep in a room temperature for a couple days, not in the sun, dark place, cool place. And you can eat it or put it in the refrigerator another 5 days for the mature flavor. After after a couple days of fermentation in room temperature, you can take a weight out, and if the vegetables are underwater, you can keep fermenting it in the refrigerator. If the water is not over the vegetable, keep the weight. Thank you for watching. いただきます。Blessings on the meal.